Welcome to the Stronger Tides Podcast, the podcast for small business entrepreneurs and corporate executives to learn more about increasing their client or employee retention through a group cruise program. Ready to drop anchor? Here's your host, travel advisor Rita Perez.
Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to have a super hot topic this week, and I have another special guest with me today. Her name is Shannon Cunningham, and she is with Inspired by Shannon. She is one of our travel industry engagement experts, and the both of us last week were on a virtual conference called Cruise World. Now, it's not usually virtual, but of course, like in our new during COVID world, everything's gone virtual. And one of the important reasons that I had decided to participate is obviously I'm in the cruise industry, but so many of the executives were going to be present, and I wanted to hear what they were thinking, what they were seeing about all of the trends. So that's what Shannon and I are going to talk about, all of the trends that we've picked up on. So I really hope you enjoyed this guest spot with me today. Hello, Shannon. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Rita. Thanks so much for having me. This is such an honor, and I'm so excited to be here and talk shop with you, talk travel.
Yes, it was very uplifting last week. I don't know if you were kind of feeling the same wavelength, but I was like, whew, okay, great news. It's just keep going up.
I know. It is so good to see, the industry executives, especially from the cruise industry. I think out of all the people in the travel industry, the cruise people have been hit the hardest and have gotten the worst, definitely the raw end of the deal. So to see them, the executives, the CEOs, the presidents, to have such a incredible mindset and such a positive attitude about the future of travel is so reassuring. And so, it definitely gives me hope being in the industry, which we can, just like you, we can pass on to our clients and hopefully influence others to have this positive attitude about moving forward and looking forward to the future of travel.
Exactly. And you say positivity, and the first guy that came to mind was Arnold Donald from Carnival Corporation. And I appreciated like how open he was with us too, like saying, these are the ships that are come out. These are the ports that we'll be sailing out of. I got very excited. And then just listening to everybody, Richard Fain from Royal Caribbean, and then I think it's Harry or Henry from Norwegian. I can't remember his name. He's the new guy on the block.
Right. Yeah. Cause he just joined him. I don't remember his name either.
Yeah, but they all had something really interesting to bring about. And so the first thing on my list is kind of like the obvious, is that they're saying to use a travel advisor. And I just see this. I mean, I know some of my listeners haven't used me before, and I don't even know if they have a travel advisor. But if you don't, and if you haven't considered one before, like now is the time to jump on using the travel advisor game, because if you had plans that got canceled and you were on the phone for endless hours, or you didn't know how to navigate that's what the travel advisor job is.
Yes, and travel advisors are pretty much in the know, especially with so many things changing in this COVID world. I mean, protocols are changing, quarantine times are changing, and we have it hitting our email box daily about protocols. I mean, just the other day I was in the gym working out, and some friends were talking next to me, and they were talking about how they couldn't wait to go to New York to see the lighting of the tree. And, they were talking about all this stuff. They had this cool weekend planned. They were going for a quick weekend getaway. And I just kind of looked at them. I'm like, did y'all check into quarantine protocols? And they're like, what you mean? We don't have to quarantine when we come back. I'm like, yeah, I don't think you're going to New York for a weekend. I hate to be the party pooper. And they had no idea. And I said, this is why you need to use a travel consultant, even for a getaway for a weekend getaway within the US.
Yeah.
They had no clue. And they had already bought their airline tickets, booked their hotel, rented a car. They had done everything.
Oh my
and
goodness.
Nothing stopped them. I'm sure somewheres there was some fine print stating to check protocols, or maybe talking about, because I think New York, you have to quarantine for 3 days once you arrive.
Oh, really?
And
okay.
yeah,
I thought it was longer.
Currently from certain states. So that again, that's where it gets tricky. But they had no clue. And so, so they were like, okay, well, can you help us plan a weekend getaway somewhere where we can go?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's just within the United States. Then we've got all the other countries.
Oh my goodness. And
the cruise lines. The cruise lines are going to have their own protocols. So the general public they're not going to stay on top of this all the time. Travel consultants have it at their fingertips. If they don't already know it, it's in their email box somewheres, or it's within their community of colleagues where they can go to and ask them and be able to educate their clients and keep them informed about the things they need to know traveling during a COVID world.
Yeah. And that's, we call ourselves the posse. And so it's a group of like 10 travel advisors that we all get together, and we're like always jamming on the IMs, like, hey, this is what's going on. Or did you see this email or this message that came out? Because it is always changing.
Yes, it is. And then we just stay, travel agents stay in touch with you even during your trip. The airlines are still having lots of schedule changes. This weekend, I know Delta went through a bunch of schedule changes. I know someone in St. Lucia right now had their return flight changed, and they were going to have to overnight in Atlanta. It didn't show up on her app. And so, booking travel as well. I sent her a text message and said, y'all are going to have to overnight in Atlanta. She had no clue. She would have got to Atlanta, realized. So now, I was able to cancel that flight and book her on another flight to get her in the same night. Yeah. And she just sat in her pool in her overwater bungalow in St. Lucia and let me handle the rest. So that's another reason why you need a travel agent.
Yeah.
They will keep you informed while you're on your trip, so you don't have to worry about these crazy details.
Exactly. And that's the biggest help. I mean, you hire professionals for all sorts of things. Like, you hire them to fix your AC, like my current AC. You hire them to like fix your plumbing. So and it's funny because this happened this weekend to me. So while the AC guy was fixing it, I'm here on my laptop doing work or watching the newest episodes of The Crown. That's what you hire professionals for. They're the specialist in what they do, and then you just get to relax and monitor what's going on in the situation.
Exactly. Let the professionals do what they're good at, and you do what you're good at, and everybody lives in a happy world.
Yeah. And then another of the big things that we've been talking about, I know that I've always pressed people like, gotta buy travel insurance. And now it's even more important. And now I'm even starting the conversation off talking about cancel for any reason, because if any time it was more important, it is right now, because you just don't know. And with rapidly changing situations, not only that, but so many companies last minute are kind of unfortunately going bankrupt and dropping out. And really there's nothing else that can help, or it's very limited resources that can help protect what you put into it, other than travel insurance.
Right. And there's so many more reasons now that people are going to need to cancel. I mean, besides from the obvious of being exposed to COVID or catching COVID and or being sick, like back in the old days when you could just be sick. But even, what if you switch jobs and they are going to make you quarantine for 14 days when you come back, and make you use personal time for that. You don't want to do that. So
Exactly.
there's so many little nuances now that we have to consider. So being able to offer travel insurance, and I recommend travel advisors not book a trip without travel insurance.
Mhm.
And a lot of suppliers and travel insurance companies are offering the cancel for any reason with cash back, and also cancel for any reason with future travel credit. So we, they've kind of changed things up a bit. So making things a little bit easier, giving you a choice, because
Mhm.
they want you to travel.
Yeah.
And, obviously the future travel credit is a little bit lower in price than the cancel for any reason cash back.
Correct.
So the travel insurance world is making changes to adjust and shift in this world as well.
Yeah, and I do have to give kudos to not only the travel insurance suppliers, but not all of them, but a lot of our suppliers have been very bendy, very flexible with not only us, but also our clients. Like I just recently got a message from one of my clients who had a future cruise credit that was going to be expiring in March. And I'm pretty sure we're going to be sailing in March, but that leaves only about 3 months to plan, 3 to 4 months to plan. And that's very last minute, especially for people who have been so affected. So this friend of mine who was going to be sailing, he actually got laid off this July from his
Hmm.
hotel position. So I really appreciate that they're taking the initiative. Like, have I asked? Yes, I've asked, but um, they're also being very, very kind to us and to our
Yes.
clients. And I can't say more amazing things to them.
Yes, I think this has brought about a whole new personalization to the
Yes,
travel industry.
yeah,
Um, co- we're obviously wanting consumers and businesses to use travel advisors. That's a more personal level. But now the travel advisors are even getting a more personal level experience on the supplier end,
yeah,
which helps create better relationships for us to pass that on to the clients.
yeah.
So it's really a win-win situation as far as that goes, making things a little bit more personable. People are being a little bit more flexible, a little bit more fluid. Every situation is unique, and they're really considering it. It's not just black and white, cut and dry anymore.
Hmm. And bouncing off of that, I don't know if you had seen Charles Sylvia had posted something on Facebook. And for most of you, you're not going to know who Charles Sylvia is. He's actually, I believe he's the COO of the Cruise Line International Association. So, and they have all of our industry associations have done tremendous work for us and the suppliers and everybody who's been affected, because it's not just us as a travel advisor. It's not just the cruise lines. And I've mentioned this before. It's the porters who take your luggage. It's the tour operators. It's the shop owners in the port who rely on your purchases for income. So many people have been affected by this. So he had posted something that said, sure, if you're a DIYer, go ahead and book directly with the cruise line, but just make sure to remember that to the cruise line, you're just an infinitesimal piece of the whole puzzle. Whereas where you work with the travel advisor, we really have a lot of clout, and we have a lot of people who have our back. We have our direct lines, our business development managers with the different cruise lines, but we have our host agencies, and then we have each other, and we have all of our insights. So you have an army
Yeah.
behind you.
And there's power in numbers in anything.
Exactly. Exactly, because you can go ahead and call ABC Cruise Line and be like, hey, this is what's going on. And the new hire who's learning all the new protocols is going to be like, sorry, this is how it is.
Right.
Whereas I'm going to fight for my people.
Right, exactly. And then, there's the time involved. There's a lot of hold time. The cruise lines, the hotels, all of them have had to cut back. So if you're going to call right now, there's going to be a hold time. And how valuable is your time?
Exactly. Oh my gosh. And my time is so valuable right now.
Right.
So another thing that it surprised me, but I was also like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense, is last minute travel, that a lot of travelers are waiting to book until a couple weeks, maybe even like a month in. I mean, I went to New Hampshire in September, and I think I only waited like 3 or 4 weeks before booking my airline ticket.
Yeah, I know. I think people are nervous booking far out.
Yeah.
I think people are nervous about, is there going to be another shutdown?
Mm-hmm.
Is this going to happen again? Are we going to have to go through cancellations and things like that again? I think people are still like, and then there are also people that are like, I'm tired of this. I got to get out. Where can I go? Let me go. Let's go in 3 weeks. So I think it's a mixture of those two with the last minute travel.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's cabin fever, and then, unsure of booking too far out in the future. So let's just go now.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of that too, I think it was Richard Fain from Royal Caribbean that had mentioned we were ready in December. We were ready to go ahead and start in December. And then the CDC pulled the rug from under us and said, actually, we need you to do 50 more million.
They are ready, and they're ready to do it right, and they're ready to comply with whatever protocols are put in place by the CDC government. And but they are ready to cruise and take people along with them, because they know the effect the cruise industry has in the travel industry. And the travel industry has 1 in 10 jobs is somebody in the travel industry.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it trickles down to, the porters, the janitors at the cruise port. But I mean, even think beyond that. I mean, when I plan a vacation, and I'm looking forward to going on a vacation, I'm going to get at least one new outfit. I'm going to go and get a mani and pedi.
Oh, I never even thought about that. You're so right.
I mean, there's so many, little things. I mean, yeah, my mani and pedi people missed out on at least six opportunities with me because I just hadn't gotten it done because I'm not going anywhere. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's so true.
Exactly. So it's way more, it trickles out way more than the people that are actually in the industry.
Yeah.
It affects a lot more.
It does. It does. Wow, I would have never even thought about that. I was thinking about all travel people, but yes, there's so many things that we do. Hey, interested in getting an actual numbers comparison of a land retreat versus a cruise retreat? Honestly, when I was putting this document together, I couldn't even believe the great difference between the numbers. Visit StrongerTidesPodcast.com to be added to my weekly email list and get the download now. Back to the show. To prep, and I'm even thinking maybe like even landscapers or some sort of maintenance people prep the house.
Your dog sitters. I mean, I have dog sitters that I get when I go on a trip. I definitely always go get my hair done.
Yeah.
Get a fresh cut and color before I leave. So there's a lot of things that go into place.
Yeah. And I really liked when he said, when he was asked, so, okay, we're going to start cruising again. Do you see us shutting down again in the future? And not that we can tell in the future, but his response, they are going to fight tooth and nail that will not happen again.
Yep. Once they start, they're not stopping.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just don't see how you can do it again. Just because of all the people that we mentioned. There's so many people that have been affected.
Yes.
And I think the right thing too, and this is going off a little segue, is that really what they were saying is that, look, COVID cases are probably going to happen. What our biggest concern is to avoid an outbreak from happening.
Right.
And that's where all the protocols, the mask wearing, the temperature check, redoing all their HVAC to make sure that everything is nice and clean, adding beds to the medical facilities, keeping some of the cabins as quarantine cabins if they need to.
Right.
So
Because it's not going to go away.
Correct.
It's a virus. It's not going to go away. The flu hasn't gone away.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be a vaccine, but it's still going to be here. And so
Yeah.
we just have to adjust. And that's what the cruise industry, that's what the travel industry, the airlines, everyone is making these adjustments
Mm-hmm.
because you can do it. There's a way we can do this.
Yes.
We're just having to rethink how we do it. And we're having to make sure we go about doing it the right way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it was the MSC head who kept mentioning also about all the technologies that are coming out and that they're working on, like the breath test.
The breath test.
I'd much
And not having to go stand out there for the muster drill. It's like, I might, yes, let's do this. I'm ready to cruise. I didn't like cruising before just because of that. But now it's all on an app.
Yeah, that was super exciting because it's kind of like this COVID group project. If someone flubs up, you got to wait extra time in the muster drill until everybody shows up and listens to the presentation. So
Right.
Just worry about yourself and your own party.
Yeah, with a cocktail in hand too.
Yes. That's right. Yeah, you can do whatever now.
Exactly, because before you can't bring a cocktail to the muster drill.
Yeah, yeah.
So now you can have it, and yeah.
Really? Yes, I am looking forward to experiencing that on my next cruise.
Me too.
Now, I did like they had mentioned, because obviously one of the concerns is social distancing, and a lot of the cruise lines that most people know, that's a couple hundred, even a couple thousand now. So they were mentioning how, and I think it was during the luxury panel, how small ship cruising is becoming super, super popular right now. And they're experiencing incredible sales on their end. So if people are worried that nobody's going to be traveling, that is not the case. That is not, like, people are booking. And something that I had actually written for my easing today was, if you think that you're going to be getting a discount because nobody's traveling, that is not the case, because everybody's had to rebook for next year in 2022. And like you were saying, the cabin fever, everybody wants to go. So I would recommend booking sooner than later, because I feel when the floodgates do open and they say, okay, we're going to restart this date,
Right.
the bookings are going to go up and pricing is just going to go up. So secure now.
Yeah, especially if you're wanting to secure a group. If you're wanting to do some sort of group travel, I think the group space is going to go first. And I think people are going to be wanting to travel in small groups.
Yeah, because we've missed each other.
Exactly. We've missed each other. Let the kids go play together, or let the husbands go and, do their own thing, and the girls get together. And I think, the cruising was about the experience on the ship, but I think it's going to be even more focused on the experience of the ship than the destination.
Yes.
And they're really going to amp up their game about that.
Yeah, because they were saying that a lot of the ports that we'll be visiting are their private islands, which are amazing. But I feel like what lacks from private islands is probably that cultural aspect.
Right.
You still have your sun and fun and relaxing, barbecuing and all that, but you don't get the aspect of traveling to a different country where you actually want to learn about the people and what their culture is. And really, that's one of the things that I personally like doing. I'm not like a big sun and fun person. I can be. But
then they've got the smaller cruise ships like the Paul Gauguin, where you get the culture on the ship. So, I mean, they do have those smaller cruise lines that just kind of cruise to just those islands and those ports, where there might be one or two that'll open for the smaller ships.
Yeah.
So
and
those types of things are,
because even you said that, and I was like, but wait, there's more, because we even have our own American river cruise lines.
Yes.
Which are going to be limited. They have their own protocols. But someone had mentioned, I'm like, this is a really good point, that a lot of people who normally cruise or who are hesitant to cruise are hesitant because they can't get off the ship on a sea day. Whereas if you're sailing on a cruise line or on a river cruise, you can. There is that option because they're so close. I mean, you're docked at the riverbank.
Right.
You're not tied down to anything. So as long as you're not sailing on the river, you're free to step on and off the ship as you please.
Exactly. So, and then they have, the American Queen Steamboat that's going to be doing the U.S. rivers. That's going to have some amazing itineraries and be very social distance mindful. I know they've been working really hard behind the scenes to get their ships up and running. And then the riverboat cruises in Europe, once we're able to get on those, are going to be a really good option and really have you experience the culture and not just the ship.
Yeah.
So we'll have all options. So, you'll have your ocean cruises for the fun in the sun, like the Royal Caribbean, the Carnivals that do their private islands. And I mean, they're going to have jerk shacks on the private island, cooking up the jerk chicken and playing the reggae music and the water parks and things like that. And then you're going to have all the fun on the ship. So I think it's two different clienteles too.
And that's why you use a travel advisor to identify which ship is good for you.
Right, exactly.
So we talked about smaller ships sailing closer to home. Oh, so they did have a really cool panel about pivoting with all-inclusives. And I know that is more up your alley because I'm a big cruise person. So have you seen that more? Do you normally have people who cruise who are send me to Mexico, send me to Jamaica?
Yeah. The all-inclusives have been picking up some of the cruise business. And I mean, I think it's great. They've got so much to offer, but a lot of people with the cruise mind think that there's not a lot to do at an all-inclusive.
I am guilty of that.
But there is so much to do. And, it's completely optional. You can take part in every activity that's on the calendar of events that day, or you cannot. And you can just lounge at the beach or the pool or do some excursions. So, it's really it's good to have that choice, and it's good for cruisers to experience the all-inclusive option.
Yeah.
And what those resorts have to offer.
Yeah, because I am dying to visit one because I've been to one all-inclusive here stateside, but I don't want to count it because it wasn't a great experience. But I am really looking forward to trying out Mexico because I have just heard so many awesome things about how Mexico is doing it right, making sure everything's nice and sanitized. I've heard from nearly everybody that's gone that Mexico is much cleaner than how we do things here in the U.S.
It's crazy. I've been to Mexico 3 times since August.
Nice.
I went to Cabo once and the Riviera Maya area twice.
Okay.
Did I? Yeah. No, I've only been 3 times. Cabo and Riviera Maya twice. Yeah. I had to think about it. And Cabo was really, we stayed at one resort that had only been open for 3 days.
Whoa.
And the protocols were, when you walk out of, they sanitize your luggage.
Okay.
When it comes off the van, they sanitize the van.
Okay. Oh.
With they have a blower. And inside the blower, you blow your leaves off, but inside this blower, they have some sanitizer, solution that they spray the van with. And then you step on a floor mat that sanitizes the bottom of your feet. And of course, they're giving you, hand sanitizer, checking your temperature. Anytime you go in and out of the resort, they check your temperature. Masks are required. But when I was filling out the paperwork, when they handed me the pen, they had the pen inside of an envelope. And
fancy.
Yes. And when they handed me the room key, it was inside the envelope.
Okay.
And very, very touch free. There were so many things. At the restaurant, they had a paper bag at the placemat for you to put your mask in. so it stays in the bag and not, just on the table or in your purse or wherever. You put it in a paper bag that they provide it for you, and then you discard it after. There were so many little things that you just don't think about, like the remote control was wrapped in.
I heard about that.
Yeah, the phone had a band going across it saying it was sanitized.
Wow.
There were no robes in the room. You could get a robe, but you had to call and order your robe, and it came in this big plastic sanitized wrap, and that was delivered on a tray. They didn't touch your robe.
On a tray.
On a tray. And then the blow dryers. There was no blow dryers in the room.
Wow.
Because people touch it in the room and then they leave it. I know it was so many little things you don't think about, and we just take so much of it for granted. So they delivered on a tray a blow dryer, and I had to take the blow dryer off the tray, and they don't touch it.
Wow, that is incredible. Because one of the other things that I had done a rant on Instagram. I was like, the cruise industry is so scrutinized because the cruise industry is so upfront about everything that's happening. So you'll hear that a crew member is sick, but you won't hear that somebody at ABC Hotel had gotten sick or ABC Theme Park, because it has happened.
Yes.
But it's not public knowledge. So hearing that the Mexican resorts are doing, and I think I've heard some things here stateside too, but that is like phenomenal what they are doing.
Yes. There was one resort we visited because I went to tour different resorts to see what their protocols were. And one resort, we had to walk through a machine, like our whole body had to walk through this machine. The door is shut, and it just puts this very light mist of sanitation on you. And then you can go in.
Wow. I want one of those with me.
No.
Wherever
I was like, wow, this is really big time. They've really made a lot of investments on making it safe so people will feel safe while they're there. And I like I said, I've gone, and knock on wood, I did my protocols, and I have upped my immunity system by taking extra vitamin C and zinc, and I've been healthy throughout this whole situation.
Yeah, because I was one that I was very strict, and like even now there's still a lot of things that I won't do, and I'm very particular who I hang around with. But I think it's come, like we've gone past the time of like being like so cooped up that the virus is here. It's not going anywhere. It's how we deal with it. So if you don't feel safe, then you need to be staying home. But if you're willing to dip your toes and try out cruising or all-inclusives, now is the time. Not only are you taking an awesome vacation, but you're also supporting all the millions, billions of jobs that are supported by the travel and tourism industry.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's opportunities out there to travel, and there's a world out there waiting for us to see. We should take advantage of that.
Yeah. And I think we've all been stuck in the homes for so long. Again, I know not everybody's going to feel like how we feel, and that's totally fine. You go at your own pace, but I'm so excited for all the positive, amazing news that has come out recently. And I just see us going up from here on out.
Absolutely. I see it too. And I think travel is going to come back bigger and better than ever. Yeah. And it's going to come back with better ways of traveling, cleaner ways, more sanitized.
Yeah.
We don't know what we don't know. So the people in the travel industry have upped their game. They've learned how to take these measures and do it so travelers are feeling at ease and still happy. And, we're able to put those travel dates back on our calendar and put the hope back on the calendar.
That I'm still waiting. I'm like, please come. I need to put something on the calendar myself.
Right.
I do have something for next September.
There you go.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Shannon, for joining me today and for joining our little community here at the
thanks for having me.
Thank you. And I know we could have gone on and talked. There's so many, like,
oh yeah.
So if you're interested in having Shannon back, let me know and we'll do like a part 2 of this also.
Absolutely. Right, I'd love to come back.
Yay.
Thanks, Rita.
Thank you. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on the Stronger Tides podcast. Please subscribe to our podcast. And if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating or a share with your colleagues. Find us on social media at Rita Ventures Group Cruising and online at ritaventures.net. Until next time, happy sailing.